Hi, I'm Bunny or Gun Bunny, and welcome to my channel. This is my journey up through guns and cosplay, and today I'm filming in my bed because, well, I'm having a bit of a flare-up of my disease. If you don't know, I have... Oh, before we get into it, actually, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if this is going up after the before the Leia promo ends on this winter, please check that out. Basically, the idea is that I will be wearing the slave Princess Leia cosplay to my next competition. If you have seen some of my competition videos, you know that there's a lot of running around and it's very fun. So you can donate. There's links down below for Cash App or PayPal, or if you want to donate $100, you can basically go onto my Patreon, and then there's a special post there. You don't need to be a normal member. You just click the Patreon link, or you could go to the special post link in the below, or I'll put it on screen or whatever. And you pay for just that post. You won't be charged monthly at all. If you're already part of my Patreon and you want to donate to this one too, you can do that, but you just pay for this one thing and you will get a special thank you and some preview of the, jiggle physics of Leia costume. So if you're doing that, that'd be great. We're trying to get to 2,000 by the end of the promo so that I can do the cosplay. It is pretty expensive to go to all these competitions, and I don't monetize or do sponsorships, even though YouTube has been annoying me about that because they're like, hey, let us monetize. Anyway, so please go check that out. If you don't know, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I also have a lot of things under that that come from that, including some autoimmune stuff, but and some stuff that we're still trying to get figured out. I'm also on the autism spectrum. I have level 2 support needs, and I also have other neurodivergence like ADHD. All of those make my life kind of hard, and it is definitely like a struggle bus being a disabled person. I've had days where I have to use mobility aids, like ambulatory wheelchair use and such. But today's video is during filming. Sorry, my brain's not fully working. I'm a little bit warm. I'm gonna take this off. I'm filming today's video in my bed because I'm currently having a flare-up, and so basically when I like to say I have a flare-up, like I was talking about this with someone recently, for me, that doesn't mean that I suddenly have symptoms that I normally don't. I normally have a baseline of symptoms. Flare-up for me means that the symptoms I already have are a lot worse, and also I will get newer symptoms. So like for now, for example, like I always have chronic pain, I always have stomach issues, like chronic pain in all of my joints in my back, stomach issues and dizziness, I have fatigue, I have brain fog. So like right now, that's all really bad, especially my back is really hurting and my neck, and so like I'm just trying to let myself sit in the most comfortable position, and just like let my legs rest a little bit. I'm also just feeling really shitty and sick in general, because flare-ups, wonderful, yeah, woo. So what I decided, so basically for this I need it, but I still needed to make, sorry, I'm so foggy, sorry about this video. You see what Bunny's like during a flare-up. Hooray, right? It's terrible, I know. So today, sorry, I got out of breath. So today's video is going to be related to all of this. I thought if I'm going to have to be sitting in bed talking about, and having to explain like that I am, oh yeah, also meet Tactical Bear. If I'm going to have to be sitting in bed and explain all about, my flare and all of this stuff, why not actually just talk about, being disabled in the gun world, specifically, like, because this is my journey through guns and stuff, cosplay, why did I say stuff? Because this is my journey through guns and cosplay is kind of like talking about, in my experience, I've talked about some stuff, and I have a ton of videos on this type of stuff, but today's video is specifically like a bunch of accommodations that I found that really helped me in my journey, because this is stuff that you don't see on camera, like, and this whole thing is about my journey and kind of like, a documentation of it, I guess. And so this is just kind of stuff that you don't really get to see, but are definitely things that I have found that are important combinations for me, and are definitely really important for my journey. So yes, it's gonna be a little bit of a more chill or mellow video. I'm just gonna talk about the list and talk about each thing as I go, and I'm gonna be sitting here in bed, and I apologize. I know I usually do some, I apologize. I kind of wanted to do a more high energy video, but the flare-up's kind of out of my control. So Today's video, I think it's really important though, and it is an important part of my journey to talk about and share, so I'm excited, and let's get into it. Give me a sec. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. I don't have these in any particular order. Again, I'm sorry, this fucking flare-up is kicking my ass. So, you know, let's talk about this as, you know, in my bed, which is, I think, the first time you're gonna see me in bed. Probably for most of you watching this, I don't know. Probably some of you watching this have seen me in bed in other circumstances. Okay, so one of the biggest things, so basically, okay, I'm just gonna start off, okay. So, having a bench and a table at the range is extremely helpful, not only just for keeping your guns organized and keeping them within reach and like knowing where they are, but for me also just being able to sit down and rest my gun on things when I'm not feeling it. Extremely helpful, and also just having a place where I can have easy access to things like water and such. Using a private bay at the range if possible. I'm lucky that the range I usually go shoot at has a bunch of different like areas to shoot, and so if we're able, me and my mentor will often go to one that's unoccupied or doesn't have anyone there. This is just helpful overall for filming, so we don't bother anybody and we don't get anyone else's muzzle reports in the video. But also for me, there's less of a, I'm likely to get like overstimulated or overwhelmed by other people there and like, you know, all the other sound, you know, and then also like, it's easier for me personally, just like me personally as someone who gets really overstimulated by noise. And relating to that is being able to park the car near the bay. So I've had times where I've gotten to the range with some friends and, you know, whatever, and we start, and then I am, you know, there, and then suddenly I'm way too overwhelmed by all of the noise. Even with Ear Pro, it's just too much. I'm either overstimulated or I'm feeling really sick. You know, and I just need to go run to the car and like close the doors and hide in the car for a little bit. That's, you know, really good. Yeah, especially also if there's weather that's really intense, like it's cold, it's really hot, and you can go get some relief, because that can be really intense on my my blood pressure, my nervous system, because I have POTS. Another one is taking turns to shoot. That just helps me again with overstimulation and being focused, as well as there's not too many noises happening in, you know, in my brain. Again, this is something that's like a lot easier when it's just me and my mentor. And it's not something that, you know, I'm gonna ask strangers or whatever to do. It's just, you know, preloading my mags to reduce time at the range is something that's really, really helpful, just for like, you know, you're not sitting there at the range loading your mags. If you know what you want to shoot, like go do that. But also just like less time sitting at the range in the loud, cold, or heat, especially as I live in New Hampshire and it is either very, very hot or very, very cold, and there's like no in between. So preloading my mags either, you know, back at home is really nice. Multiple types of Ear Pro is really helpful for me, as for different, like, you've seen me have, you know, in-ear and over-ear Ear Pro depending. You know, for depending on, I have really bad swelling in my jaw, and so it really hurts my ear. So some days it'll be more painful for me to have in ear, and sometimes it'll be more painful for me to have over ear. So I just kind of have both, and it changes depending on what my needs are. Mag loaders like the Ablula and other similar mag loaders are literally like the saviors of my hands. They're the reason I'm still able to do sewing and art and such, and not like destroyed my poor like joints in my hands. Taking a lot of breaks for my joints is really nice. One of the reasons I really like the format of Brutalities is that they there's enough people in the squad that I'm getting a break in between each run. That is good for my recovery, but also just at the range, you know. I've made a whole video about this, but shooting in Weaver stance. That's something that I found that really helps my pistol shooting. It's something that someone suggested for me for EDS, and it's been amazing. Something that my mentor will do is repeat things for me. So the way that my brain works and the way that I learn is I have to hear something and digest something and learn something a couple of times before it really sticks. But then when it really sticks, it sticks. And I just have to have a really good, deep understanding of it before it really, like, you know, sticks in my brain. So I'll often go over things a couple of times, and it takes me like, you know, like I'll understand it and I'll like perceive it and I'll be able to repeat it back to you. But sometimes with certain things, for some reason, my brain is just like, and you're gonna forget it in like 10 minutes. And like, it's not for lack of trying, but so going over it a few times really helps it. And like, I'll often ask questions to re-clarify, etc. Or ask him to help me go over things. And he's really like understanding. And one of the reasons that like I really love working with my mentor is because he's very understanding of my very specific needs and learning style, which is really awesome. So something else my mentor does is helping me rack the slides if I'm in pain. This is another thing just to preserve my joints, but also let me shoot when I'm in pain, is if there's a heavier slide to rack, or if I'm just like, hey, I'm, in a lot of pain right now, like, he will do it for me. And I can already be people like, oh, but that's not like, you can't do it at competition or in the field. Like, one, I can do it at competition. Brutality is very, very accommodating. And two, it's not that I don't know how to rack the slides. It's sometimes I just physically am struggling to, but I still want to go shoot because, that's important. And I don't want that to hold me back. And also it's about preserving my joints. Help my carrying heavy cases. That's kind of a, given is like, if you have joint problems, don't carry heavy things. Another one that I really do that I found is really helpful, which is something I will do, is dry fire from bed. And I will not use a real gun for this. I will use my laser cert, which is basically just a, here, I'm gonna redo that. So something else I do is dry fire from bed. I don't use a real gun for that just because I don't want to get the like, carpet in my bed. But this is a cert. It is basically a fancy laser pointer in a gun-shaped case that looks kind of like a Glock with a weighted magazine. I've shown this a few times on my channel, and it's basically what I'll use to dry fire from bed, so I can still get some dry fire practice in. And yeah. I will probably be doing that after this video. Another thing I do is planning ahead what I'm going to do at the range. So this just helps with, my brain really likes structure, and it will get stressed out sometimes if it doesn't have it. But so knowing like, okay, I'm gonna film this video with this gun, and then I wanna do some drills, and then I'm gonna, try this new gun, right? And that can, one, help set expectations for what's going to get done and what I'm going to do. It makes me be aware of my time, as well as making sure I actually get the stuff done I need to get done. And it also just helps me like budget my spoons and my hedgehogs. Staying flexible and not pushing too hard is really important. And it's one of the most frustrating things for me, is I often find myself struggling to figure out where the level of pushing too hard is. Sometimes I will be doing things and I'm like, I'm not pushing too hard at all, and it just feels completely reasonable for me to do, and then my body's like, nope, or my brain's like, no, you were pushing too hard, and I'm like, but this is not pushing too hard, like this is just, and it's really hard for me sometimes because it's just like really frustrating when I'm like, I want to be able to function like a person, like a normal human being, and I can't, and I won't be able to, and I'm pretty high support needs, and so I'm so thankful to have really accommodating people in my life. But honestly, like, I cannot financially afford the amount of support I need. That's part of it. Like, that's just the truth. And so staying, not pushing myself too hard to do things is really important. Well, kind of, and being flexible about, okay, I thought I was gonna get this done today, but I'm not, and that's okay. And being able to kind of reschedule things and be fun, especially when it comes to shooting and stuff. So setting aside the whole day for the range is something that I found is really important for me, because it is a lot of just mental and physical effort for me. I think there's the combination of all the overstimulation. It's a good, amount of time for me to drive there. It's almost an hour. There's all the packing and then unpacking and cleaning, and then the physical being at the range itself. For me, it's a pretty big ordeal. So if I want to do it, it's not going to be just a quick trip. It's pretty much, or I'm going to spend the whole day as this is my range day, right? Like, that includes prepping my guns, packing my, everything that has to do with the range, food afterwards, etc. Setting reasonable expectations for myself. Another thing I really struggle with just in life in general, but at the range as well. Like, not going like, I'm gonna spend 5 hours there and I'm gonna shoot like 10 guns and I'm gonna go to 4 different bays. Like, no, maybe pick, okay, these are my 2 pistols I'm gonna shoot, and then I'm gonna shoot 1 rifle, and I'm gonna shoot, for groups with the rifle, and then I'm gonna film a video with one of the pistols, and then just, practice with the other one and maybe post it on Patreon. That's really important. and also understanding that those expectations can wildly vary, and also being very understanding to myself when I can't do that, because I am someone who's like, oh, I should be able to do that, I should be able to do that, you know? And, you know, on top of that, all very, very patient and very, very helpful mentor is a fucking godsend. I would not be here without him. So, you know, a few other things. So, sunglasses. My eye pro are also sunglasses, so there are prescription sunglasses that are also impact resistant, and that's very important because, again, like, glare and light is very intense for me, and often I will get headaches just because I exist and I get a headache, and sunglasses both can really help with that, and also just help, like, just my shooting, because I shoot outdoors most of the time. Using light guns. That's kind of a given with, like, my joints. Using stocked pistols. I have so many videos about this, and I will make more about this. I don't even have to touch on this. It is fucking amazing if you have joint problems. Range stacks. Go check out my multiple now videos on Uncrustables. They are the perfect range snack. I get low blood sugar. Range snacks are amazing. Uncrustables, you should sponsor me. So an example of, like, okay, so now I'm done with the list a little bit. An example of, you know, there was this clip recently where I kind of got a little bit overwhelmed and frustrated because the revolver, which I'd shot all the rounds from, I was trying to push the, like, you know, the little lever thing to get the old brass out, and they were just stuck. I don't know, maybe they were, for whatever reason, I just needed to clean. And I got, like, frustrated. I don't know how else to describe it, but, like, frustrated in, like, an autistic way. I was really overwhelmed. I don't want to say, like, oh yeah, I'm frustrated in an autistic way. Like, that sounds wrong, but I can't think of a better way to describe it, as, like, it was not just a normal person getting frustrated. It was like, I don't know how else to describe it. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, and I just could not deal with it. I needed to take a step back, and so my mentor took over and cleared it for me, like, which was super, super nice, and something that's really helpful. And just knowing me and my brain, that really helps. So, you know, a lot about people talk about, or I've had people question me, like, oh, how do you do competitions? How do you do whatever? And I'm like, a lot of accommodations I make for myself, and I ask for and are amazingly given, like, being able to not drag dummies or taking, you know, penalties or whatever, but, like, we're having somebody help clear my gun, or you know, all of these are at brutality so far, but, like, there are times where I've gone to a brutality and I could not complete it. The most recent high desert, I had to skip out on a couple of stages because I was just feeling so out of it, and thankfully I was able to make up, like, some of them. But yeah, no, I just said, like, no, I don't feel well enough to do this, and so that really sucked. But yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about is why I take off my pistol belt between stages. You don't really see this in the videos, but if you ever see me at competition, I'll take off my gear. I get really sensorily overwhelmed. Tactical gear is not made for my body at all, and it's not comfortable. As someone who's very, very sensory, like, sensitive, I guess. Sensorily sensitive, I guess, is the word. It doesn't fit me correctly, and it drives me fucking insane. It fits, but like it's the right size, but, like, it's not designed well. The way that it digs into my hips bothers me. So I just take it off. People are also often concerned about my outfits, but they are even more accommodations. And also does not affect my ability, like, my, you know, competition that much. Like, yes, I scrape my knee, okay, I'll do that anyway. And also I'd like to train how I dress, so it makes my experience more fun and doesn't cause me any harm as well, which is important because dopamine. Also, pants just bother me sensory wise, like, really badly. I think it was Carl from In Range TV said pants are the oppression of the proletariat, and I've never felt that so hard in my life. Fuck pants. Pants fucking revolution, people. All right. Another thing I will use at competitions is an umbrella for the sun, and have water, everything I need for, like, sun protection, etc. And also maybe an emotional support plushie like Tact-a-Bear or my little hedgehog guy, who's my little shoulder spotter. But the most important thing, honestly, is having fun. I surround myself with supportive people. I know my own needs and I'm outspoken about them. I'm also understand what will and won't affect me, like the way I dress, I understand what, like, wearing a short skirt will not cause me problems and will actually help me. But fun is the most important thing. It is actually what will, like, get me going back to things or get me continuing to do things. And so if something becomes more of a hassle than it is fun, it's not worth it. So making these accommodations helps it be more fun. But also, like, it being fun makes it worth me maybe putting up with some stuff. These are such little accommodations that to somebody else may not seem like that big of a deal, but for me is the difference between me being able to do a thing or not at all. Yeah, me being disabled has shaped the way I engage in the gun world. Being myself and looking at it through the lens is being myself and looking through it through my own lens and interest is also part of this as well, I guess. Like, I am really interested in this and am, you know, so affected by it that it kind of helps, because I'm like, oh, I want to study this and what's a way that I can do it, you know. And so that is going forward with the idea of being interested in something. That mindset can really help. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope that everyone's doing well, and bye.